Hi, the Beach Bum Astrologer returns. I bet you thought I'd gone away forever. Need an exorcism for that. Not on the beach today because it's actually quite breezy, even though it's lovely and sunny, almost freakishly warm. There's a nip in the air though. Little things going on there. But it's lovely. So I thought I'd share some news with you today. Sad news in a way because I worked for a magazine called The Lady, which is now being liquidated. I got the news over the weekend. Whether that means it ceases publication forever is another matter, after all. Somebody may buy it. But The Lady was 140 years old. It just celebrated its anniversary in February, I think. And if I said I'm surprised, well, not really. One knew that the circulation wasn't heading north. And whenever I told people I worked for The Lady magazine, I was its astrologer, people say, oh yes, I used to read it. Is it still going? And then they'd recount a story how they'd applied for a job to be a nanny or an interpreter or something like that. But it's always sad. I feel sorry for the Budworths, Ben and Helen Budworth. Ben is the proprietor of the magazine, and Helen, his wife, is the editor. And she did a good job. I'm not sure that she had experience in editing, but she turned out to be a really good editor. I thought the magazine had a lot of sparkle, but it had a decades long record of heading south in its circulation. And I don't know how it worked out financially. The last Christmas party we had was in 2023, I think, at the Ivy in Covent Garden. It was quite a splendid occasion, it has to be said. And many notable writers attended. So a sad day. Now, people, of course, are saying, oh, did you see it coming? As the astrologer, you know. Well, no, you've got to look at the horoscope to see something coming. It never occurred to me to look at the horoscope. But what you can do is to look at the chart for the moment you hear the news. So I heard about the news under, yes, a solar eclipse in Aries. And it so happens that solar eclipses tend to be associated with the end of things, not the start of things. Traditionally, solar eclipses were dreaded. And in the Lady chart, we see that the solar eclipse is ruled by Mars, and the magazine's Mars is in the 8th house, which, funnily enough, is the house of death and taxes. Not so much sex, some people think, but certainly death and taxes. Can you hear the seagulls? They're singing to me, serenading me in my loss. It's just one of those things that you notice with astrology, how pertinent the chart can be. I remember solar eclipses are not good news for me, generally speaking, because my mother died under the solar eclipse in Capricorn back in January 2019, the 6th of January. And so it's an interesting coincidence, isn't it? Another solar ecliptic event that brings to an end something wonderful. That's it, really. I thought I'd share the news with you. I gave an interview to the Times today. I don't know whether they'll use my quotes. There'll be bigger names for them to talk to, like Rachel Johnson, who actually recruited me when she was editor for about 2 years, back in 2011. She'd seen my blog, Madame Arcati, and she found it very amusing. Initially, I think she wanted me to take the piss out of astrology. So I said, well, the thing about that is that astrology is having a bad enough time as it is, so it doesn't need me taking the piss out of it. There's enough of that going on. You can read Private Eye for its lame attempts to satirize astrologers. So I said, why don't you just run a straight horoscope column, you know, geared to a creme de la creme readership. So I did it with a bit of humour, and she loved it. And every year I would think, oh, this would be the last year now, the lady. I mean, the money they paid me was pocket money. I wasn't doing it for the money. It's just a pleasure to do it. It was a pleasure to deal with the editors. Rachel left me to my own devices. There was no particular curiosity to know me as a human being, but she got what she wanted. And quite rightly too, that's what editors are for. To go out and find a bit of talent and utilise it. And she broke a few moulds. I think she fell out with the matriarch of the Budworths. I can't remember her name. I think she's passed away recently, actually, which is sad. But I think she lost her top when Rachel ran a feature by Gilly Cooper, or a story by Gilly Cooper, which mentioned lady gardens, which I have to tell you had nothing to do with horticulture, let's put it like that, but a lot to do with the nether regions of lady people. And that was felt to be far too rude for the august readers of the Lady magazine. There are other editors too. I remember Matt Warren, who rather elegantly told me the only reason why they employ me is because I'm cheaper than Russell Grant. I thought that was a bit rude. And where is Matt now? Where is he? He used to be quite a star writer at the Daily Mail, actually. He was a good editor. I think he was editor of the year at some point. He knew what he was doing. And there were some interesting stories about him, which I won't repeat today. And then there was Sam Taylor. She was very good. She's highly regarded. The private eye people love her. Richard Ingram's used to come to our lunches. I liked Sam. All the editors seemed genuinely interested in astrology, or what I call a-causal approaches to life. Who else? Then some weirdo took over for a while. Never answered her emails. And then Helen Budworth took over. And I think from memory Rachel Johnson wrote a slightly rude piece about her. Maybe in the Telegraph, I can't remember. It doesn't matter. I'm just kind of spinning it out. So yeah, a sad day for all the staff of the Lady magazine. It was always a pleasure to deal with Gillian Spickenell, PA to the editor, but she writes in her own right, so to speak. I think she's interested in opera. And so I extend my condolences to all. And I hope, one can only hope, that maybe the magazine can find a buyer. I don't know whether it's seeking a buyer. Obviously, the liquidation is another matter. I think HMRC, His Majesty's Revenues and Custom, instigated this liquidation. I'm not sure what amounts were involved, but I did read reports that the figure was in the region of 360 grand. It's pretty serious. And all I can say is, as I said to the Times, I think the Budworths did their damnedest to keep the magazine going and to grow it. But maybe it had run out of time and was out of its time and somehow just couldn't recapture its past glory. It was recorded as the oldest women's magazine in continuous publication. And that's quite a thing. And to get to 2025 with all that's going on. I looked at another thing about the chart, by the way, in the Lady, is that Neptune's right at the top of the chart. Neptune is traditionally regarded as a malefic, if it's recognised at all, and tends to be associated with loss. And going back to my mother, who died under a solar eclipse, Neptune was on the moon, which represents the mother when she passed away. So it's a funny old thing about astrology. There's something in it, even if Noel's raised on Professor Brian Cox's various tracts think that it's a load of cobblers. It's not a load of cobblers. But you do have to enter a different mindset in order to appreciate its wisdom and its ability to get it right quite often. Anyway, thank you for putting up with my reminiscing, and I'll speak to you soon.